Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to a very special online event today. It's called Rewild Your Senses Through the Practice of 5-Animal Qigong. Embody the virtues of specific animals through movement. My name is Stephen Dyna. I'm the founder and CEO of the Shift Network, and I know we're in for a treat today because every time we do an event with Daisy Lee, she just never fails to transmit a quality of being that clearly emanates out of her profound practice of Qigong. She has brought forward a number of different systems, including her own in the past. And today we're going to get to explore a really powerful and fun practice around 5-Animal Qigong. And I think it's really going to be a great thing that you can learn to incorporate a whole different set of movements. So Daisy is the founder and principal teacher of Radiant Lotus Qigong. She's taught a number of programs and even a certification with Shift, and it's just never fails to be a delightful presence here. So Daisy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Stephen. I guess we should flex our fingers and start the tiger, the energy of the tiger coming in already.
You're bringing the animals out already. That's well, it's great. We can dive into that. I do want to let everyone know we are going to have this hour. We're going to get some really great theory and practice, and we're going to have a brand new program at Daisy on 5-Animal Qigong. So more to come about that towards the end of the hour. So Daisy, you've shared your backstory a number of times, but it might be interesting to share a little bit about the specific lineage of 5-Animal Qigong, what brought you to that and why you really found it really added dimensions that other Qigong lineages didn't touch.
Thank you, Stephen. And hello, everyone. I'm so delighted to be here to actually share a little more about 5-Animal Qigong and the privilege of actually being the 59th lineage holder, 59th generation lineage holder. I had gone to Bozhou to learn this system because it is one of the classic cultural gifts of China, really. And so I went to Bozhou, China, in Anhui province, and I learned this system of the 5 animals, which is so delightful because we have a chance to kind of go back to our primordial nature, the simplicity of our animal nature. And in that village, you would see at probably 4:30 or 5 in the morning, everyone is out by the water or out in the streets practicing the 5-Animal Qigong. So I'd never seen that, everyone practicing together like that at sunrise in such a beautiful little town. And my teacher and his disciples were all out by the river and by the water, and just kind of enthralled. I was just enthralled by the movements, the joyfulness, the playfulness, and kind of a reconnection with the environment, but also with the way of being that the animals kind of inhabit and inspirited us with. And so that was my introduction, and I was fortunate to become the 59th generation lineage holder to share the system in the West. So you may know that there's 5 animals from this classic system, and the 5 were created or observed especially by a famous physician named Hua Tuo. He was famous because he was the one who created anesthesia in China and thus spread it out to the world to support people in healing. But the 5 animals begins with the tiger. And the tiger is this, of course, seemingly ferocious animal. It has that character and it knows when it has to act and pounce, but it also knows how to play and settle back and rest. And I would say that each of the animals has this gift of perceptiveness because they use their senses all the time in nature. And I think that what this great doctor Hua Tuo discovered was that even then, 1600 years ago, that people were leading sedentary lives already 1600 years ago. And how amazing that in this day and age, we have the same problems that they had 1600 years ago. So in the past, it could have been that the wealthy were more sedentary, and whenever people can rest, they will rest, but they don't have a balance. And that is the concerns that we have in this day and age as well, that the balance is missing for enough movement. We've kind of outsourced and opted out of our movement because often we are using technology to replace the movement. So it might be just the fingers moving over the keyboard, and we actually need a little or a lot, actually more movement than that, so that we can maintain our mobility and flexibility and strength. So we go from the tiger as the first animal to the deer. And the deer is this, as many of you know who have actually seen deer in the Northwest, where I've come from as well. Deer have this incredible listening skill. And so it is reflected in the movements of the turning waist and supporting the kidney energy. So each animal represents an organ, a season, and an element. And so when we go into this practice, we'll be learning about all the 5 animals, corresponding organs, elements, and seasons. And then afterwards,
make that really clear. Oh, so I was going to say, just to make that really clear. So if because they represent a different organ and a season and element, so when you're doing the practice, you're basically integrating those other qualities beyond just the animal itself, it sounds like.
Right. We're looking at the internal nature and the spirit of the animal as well as the physical. So on one level, we're looking at how to breathe properly, for one, because that moves the blood and qi, or the energy in the body. And on the other hand, the physical dynamic aspect of the animals is how we move, and with agility and flexibility and strength. Yeah, so it's a merging of the inner and outer qualities.
Well, it's amazing that this has been an unbroken lineage for 59 generations of teachers, and there's not too many practices that stick around for that long. So that's really quite a testimonial itself. I wonder if you want to comment a little bit on how this might overlap with a lot of traditional shamanic cultures a bit, because there's a lot of focus in shamanic cultures on different levels of communion relating to spirit animals as guides and inspirations.
Right, and that is very interesting, Stephen. I think that, in the ancient cultures, we look to nature for our inspiration. That has probably always been the case, as it is even still today, if we're aware. And so there is this thing that happens, that when we slow down enough, as we do in Qigong, and we come into a place of peace and calm, we have greater awareness, a broader awareness, not only internally, but into the cosmos. So our looking afield is changed by our stillness within. And the shamanic cultures have always honored the spirit of the animals, of the very animals themselves, and not only the spirit, but the physical nature. They sometimes use it as medicine. And so each animal has its strength and is a reminder for us as humans. How do we find the spirit of the tiger when we need, for example, to be fierce? How do we stand for what is right, like the bear, steadily in the center of the 5 animals, and bear witness, so to speak, to what is happening around? And yet, in many ways, you see the gentleness of, this bear that eats berries and honey, and then the ferocity when it protects its young. So each animal has qualities that we want as humans, and we have as humans, but we may have forgotten because of, the overwhelming amount of media, the technology that surrounds us. And so it is really a way for us to reconnect with our own human nature, but with inspiration from the 1600-year-old system of Qigong.
So is part of what happens with this practice is that you're doing sort of the full 5 animals as a regular, and then do you dial up or dial down certain animals when you recognize you have more need of those qualities or virtues?
Yes, you know, it is a complete system unto itself, according to Hua Tuo, that famous physician in China. Um, you you do each animal as you learn and grow through it. You start to look at the qualities of the animal. So, if you are, for example, perhaps you're dealing with a grief situation, you might look to the crane for inspiration. And that's literally inspiration to breathe and support the lungs in the time of grief and heaviness. The crane flies above all of that and has a different perspective. It knows about life and death. It knows about new energy and old energies that pass on. And so it is an honoring of the natural cycles of life. And so if one is going through a project, a medical issue or loss, then we might turn to the crane for support for that broader perspective. And if we are in need of joy, who isn't in need of joy? We might look to the monkey, because the monkey has this playful, joyful demeanor. It's always in mischief and curious about everything, and much like children. And so you probably, with your children, you look at them and you can't help but smile, because they come out with the funniest expressions in playful ways. And so children are probably closer to animal nature than we are as adults, because sometimes in merging into wisdom, we let go of, the fantastical things that make being a child such a joy, that naturalness. Yeah. So each stage, each animal represents something for us, and we can go to one in a time of need, or we can practice all so that we have the full spectrum of elements, emotions, and grounding and light. So it's a combination of the yin and the yang within each of the animals as well.
Can you share, you were going through the qualities a bit more there, but some of the organs and the elements that each of those, the crane and monkey correspond to?
Yeah, the crane corresponds to the organs of the lungs. So you notice that when you are heavy-hearted, the energy sinks, the lungs, kind of descend, even the posture changes. And the season of autumn, if you think of, the leaves falling, sometimes people get sad when they see the bare trees with no leaves any longer. And so it is a reminder that that season also passes. Grief and sadness also pass. And we need to also spread our wings out again and open the lungs up. So it is the characteristic of the all-seeing eyes of the greater whole, the cosmic view, and that the crane carries that within its spirit. With the monkey, of course, you have that playfulness, and it has this quick little hand movement, because it's picking fruit. It's always like trying to eat something or taste something and use all its senses in that way. So the season for the monkey is summer, and the joys of summer, it would make a lot of sense. And so it is going from tree to tree, exploring this and that. It is taking the full flavors of life every time it puts something in its mouth or takes something in its hand. And so that is the providence of the monkey. And so we go like that through each of the animals. But we begin with the tiger, because the tiger, probably one would say the lion or the tiger, their representation is similar in the Chinese understanding, but in China, they had tigers, they didn't have lions. And so that was the observation that Hua Tuo made, was that the tigers could be playful like little kittens, but But the ferocity would come out, and you would see it in their eyes, the glint in their eyes when they saw something that they wanted. And because they needed to see their support their family, they would have that ferocity come out to catch what they needed to feed the family. And so the liver is the organ that connects with the tiger. Yeah. And so the liver is connected to the eyesight. And so if we're looking for what we need, we are searching and seeking. That is part of the characteristics of tiger. It is not just the ferocity that it's known for by humans, but the playfulness that an adult tiger would have for its young. And so the season is springtime for the tiger. It's that bounding energy that springs forth. And so that is the joy of the tiger, even though it is a wood element. So it's not the same as the monkey energy, right? If you put monkeys and tigers side by side, you'd have a very different energetic, I think. Yeah. I remember, Stephen, I spoke with Puma Freddy from Peru, and he talks about the panthers, and you talk about the crossing over of animals and shamanic practices and reverence for the animal kingdom as teachers. So I really enjoyed that conversation with him.
And I know that's actually going to be included for at least people who register early for your upcoming programs. We'll share a little bit more about that later. So I think now would be a great time. We've talked a little bit about the high level and gotten the overall lineage and history and situated how it works with different lungs. So do you want to take some time now to do a demonstration that we can all join in?
Sure, I will do that. That will be fun. Okay. So the tiger teaching, we begin with this one movement that we use for every animal, and it is a preparatory type of movement. And we start with our feet, shoulder or hip width apart, wherever you're widest. The palms are up, so they're by your side, and they're up, and they rise up to the heart level. And then we bring in the energy into the heart and exhale down and settle the energy. So this is the regulation at the very beginning that we do before we start the actual animals. Inhaling to the heart level and then exhaling to reconnect to the earth's energy. So we'll do one more. Inhale, honoring the yang energy from above, the human energy in between, and the earth energy below. So now the tiger begins, and I'm going to have you flex your fingers like so, like a tiger's paw, and this actually brings agility and qi and blood to the fingers and joints. So it's like this kind of movement. So when we're here, the palms face down, the fingertips face each other, and then they spiral out in this paw. And then relax as the fingertips come in, drawing the energy up through and into the heart. And then it turns at the heart and presses upwards. Your eyes follow the hands, pressing up, and then coming down. The paws come down just to the shoulder height, and then our elbows and shoulder blades come together. The chin comes up, and the knees gently flex, and we draw the elbows back. Now, slowly rise and straighten. Relax your hands. Expand outwards to embrace the light from above, and float the hands down to reconnect to the earth. Okay, so that is the one movement of the tiger. We'll do that together now. Palms facing the earth, forming the paws and relaxing. Then we circle around. Fingertips face each other. Inhale, rising up to the heart. Turning towards the heart and then upwards towards the sky. Tiger is stretching up. Forms the paws again. Really coming down. And then elbows back, shoulder blades together. Sink in the hips. Chin up. And then straighten the neck. Relax the paws. Stand up and arms outwards. And come around to the earth, reconnecting with the earth's energy. Let's do one more for the road. Okay. Flex your paws. Relax. Turn out. Scoop in. Inhale. At the heart level, turn. Eyes follow the hands. Pressing up. Pressing up. Stay there for a moment. Form the paws again. Scratching down. And now shoulders lowered. Paws back. Elbows back. Chin up. Lower body sunk. Straighten the neck and head. Relax the paws. Expand outwards. And float the arms down. And we just shift. That's just one movement I'll show today. And at the end, we always do this bow with a fist. Hardness and softness come together, and we bow. All right. So that is a little of the tiger play. Stephen.
Beautiful. I'd love for you to just share a little bit more about the your internal state. Are you also, is there anything like you're visualizing a tiger, invoking it somehow into your space in addition to the movements or breath? I'd be curious.
Yeah, there's many things that we learn from this practice, and it is the ferocity at the appropriate times. And in that first movement, it's really about, let's stretch out first. Let's feel the flexibility of our joints. Let's open up the channels of the body so that we can stay limber and agile. So that is the movement that you're seeing, is the tiger stretching. Let's say it's about to go out into the wild or into the jungle. So it needs to stretch out, open up the chest, increase the movement potential within the body. Then it can go out and catch its food. It can protect its young, and if need be, do battle. That's something that, maybe is not so pleasant to talk about, but it is also part of the reality of, all animals, whether the battle is mental or emotional. So in the human realm, it is more the mental and emotional. The reality of the animals is more dynamically physical. And in preparation for the mental and emotional, we actually have to have a healthy body. And so we better process our emotions and our mental stress when our physical body is in its best health. So that is part of what the learning is in this Qigong. It's the embodiment of the spiritual characteristics of each animal, but how do they move? How do they communicate with their young? How do they act in their world? And so we need to go back to these things because, in a sense, so to speak, we've lost our sense of sense. We've lost our good sense and how to use that to engage all five senses, or you could say the sixth sense, which is our intuition. Yeah. So what animal would you be, Stephen, if you had a choice?
I'd probably be a monkey. It was funny because when I was really little, I was really into Curious George, and I had a monkey shirt. And sometimes I feel like all the responsibilities of running shift and family and properties, and it's just like, I feel like I get more serious as an adult. So it feels like monkey would be a good one for me to begin to cultivate more.
Yeah, well, you must participate then, especially when the monkey comes up.
So
And
sounds,
monkeys are very intelligent. And so that is one of the markers of a monkey energy, is that it has high intelligence. And if it uses it with discernment, then all things start to balance and have harmony.
Hmm. So maybe share a little bit like the diagnostic, the self-diagnostic. So that's a little bit like for me, but how could each person determine a bit more of like which animal would likely be their best medicine?
Ah, interesting. Well, Stephen, and it's interesting because, five animals is one of the first medical Qigongs. And so you could say it's a more easy diagnostic because you're looking at, well, what is happening that is out of balance in your life at this time? What emotions, for instance, are out of balance? So if we take the animal like a monkey that has a lot of joy, if you are dealing with something that is really sad and lacking joy, or the weight of the world is on your shoulders, then monkey might be the antidote, right? If you feel like you have a lot of airiness, you're overthinking, and so much is going on in the upper dantian, in the head, then you might need the steadiness of the bear. Yeah, bears hold space for other animals, and that's why it's in the middle of the five animals. It has this lumbering, earthy quality, and so maybe you need to ground your energy and use bear medicine, so to speak. So that's how we go about it. A lot of times, especially in this day and age, the emotions are out of balance. And it can be from bad news, politics, family situations. It can be anything. But if there is a predominant energy that affects the organs, so what we look for is, where is the effect in the body, physically as well? So if there's for example, a person is sighing all the time, that is what we consider indication of grief, a heaviness in the lungs. And so they might need to open up the lungs again through the crane. And so that's the medicine that they need in that moment. But you probably see that there are intersections of these energetics in all the animals. So once you become accustomed to and trained in one animal, then you want to learn the others so that you have a broad spectrum to choose from. It may be a different emotion or a different season, different organ that you're trying to heal, and so you either choose or you do all. Choose one or do all.
So you would do like a full practice that's just focused on the monkey as an example, rather than until you felt like that was integrated or that medicine has been absorbed into your system.
Right. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And then when you feel more balanced, you kind of go to an equal balance of all five.
Yes, that's a great way to do it, Stephen. So we treat the project first. If there's we call it a project. In my mind, it's like a health project, something that is disturbing the qi in the body. And we know, and we can discover what it is through a general analysis. Then we choose that animal to give them the the balance of strength that the person needs. From there, not only because of the joyfulness or the just the joyfulness of animal play. In China, they call it frolics, the 5 animal frolics. And it denotes this kind of playful, amusing type of energy, which is why people are drawn to the 5 animals. And it's, in that sense, it's very different than the other Qigong systems. It's out of all the Qigong systems, it's probably the most joyful. And that's why children can practice it. That's why seniors can practice it, but they do it a little bit different because they're respecting that their body might have changed. So they don't need to go as extreme as the little ones.
Yeah. I imagine the little ones may not move quite as quick, quite as slowly. They're probably jumping around monkey.
Yeah, well, it is good to do the full practice and trust the system, partly because it's so ancient and proven that one can consider why have these 5 animals, shared their wisdom for so long. 1600 years is nothing to sneeze at, and so we need to respect that there is this system in place already, and not only the 5. Hua Tuo, the physician who created it, chose those 5 because those 5 were in his vicinity. But I believe that there are also other animal Qigongs like dragon. And in fact, if we look at all animals in the ocean, in the air, on land, if you watch closely, you will find the wisdom. You will find what it is that makes them special, and start discovering for yourself after you learn about these 5 that are the foundational aspect of 5 animal Qigong.
I'd love to maybe share a story or two of people who began to really incorporate this practice and something that opened, healed, transformed as a result of them really taking in the medicine of one animal.
Because I've met so many people, as I said, from young to old, and the thing that I would say is most helpful about the animals is the sense of joy. I mean, that is when someone is depressed and they do these movements, they can't help but come out of their depression. So when the heart is heavy, when life feels like nothing is going in the right direction and you have no control, it teaches us to be in the moment and to use the medicine of the moment. I'm not sure if I'm explaining it well enough, but it is this reconnection, rewilding of the human spirit, and so when we have been immersed in too much technology or too much bad news, and it takes us down. And I've been seeing that, through just observing the news, that people start to get heavy-hearted and they lose their alignment and their connection both to the earth and the cosmos. So that is a connection that all animals have. They are seasonally oriented. They observe the seasons, they observe their environment, they observe other animals to know where the prey is, the food is, or their protectors are. And so when we remember these things, we are back in tune with our innate nature, our human nature, and the best of the human nature. What really messes with us, I think, is that so much energy is up here in our head. And when we have a disturbance of qi in the mind and the mental faculties, and it cannot help but affect the middle dantian or the heart energy. So when the heart is out of balance, the emotions go crazy and they get out of balance. And then we no longer have the proper perspective about life, especially our own life. And so what the animals teach us is there's times to just be in quiet so that we can diagnose, think quietly and appreciate what we have with us. And then we can act in a very different way.
That's such an important point, because so often, even when we think about animals, we're thinking about their movements rather than their qualities of rest. And I know the tiger probably sleeps 16 hours a day, and they're ferocious when they're in full action, but a lot of the time they're just lounging around. So that's a really good reminder for us.
Right, a good balance of knowing when to rest and knowing when to act. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, there's a certain principle of not squandering energy on things that are not necessary that I think animals really often have baked in, and humans we don't seem to have that wiring now, at least with modern pull of, as you said, news and technology and all of the modern work week. There's sort of a kind of an incessant drive energy that is not with the cycles of rest and restoration.
Right, and that's what's interesting about that, Stephen, is that animals usually don't take more than they need. Humans want more than they need, and they're never satisfied. So this imbalance causes us a lot of stress, I think. You have something and you want more. You get that and you want something else. It's this incredible human brain that it leads us astray in a sense, because we don't know when enough is enough. And that is where the troubles begin.
It also brings up the point that it's like, because our center of gravity in modern life is very head-centered, these animal practices bring us into a deeper level of our embodiment, I imagine.
Yes, definitely. And you see in that first movement of the tiger, the body is sunk. The hips and the knees sink so that we connect deeper to the earth before we stretch it and open ourselves up. So if we know where down is, we know where the earth is, we know where up is, then we have a chance to survey the land around us, survey what is around us from this single point in the center of our being. Yeah, and that's part of the joy, is even coming up with, how do you describe to a child or to a senior the different qualities of the animals that they can relate to?
Well, very exciting. And so I wonder, is there anything else that you haven't gotten to share about the animals and the qualities and the practice that you want to bring forward today?
I was thinking about how animals make us laugh. One of the most popular videos that people look for are animal-centric. And so it's the crazy, silly things that they do that engage us. And I think it's because we relate to their qualities and we see ourselves in them. And we want to take some of that back into our world that may seem very chaotic at times. So I think there's that. I think they remind us to be more empathetic, more clear and yet empathetic, because animals don't kill for sport. They don't kill for the joy of it, they kill for need. And so, it is about this balance of, what do you need in life to really thrive? And when is enough enough? If you have your health, you have everything. And through a system like 5 Animal Qigong, to regain your health in this most joyful way is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself, I feel.
Beautiful. Well, I want to spend some time talking about how people can really learn the full practice and all the different animals, because I think it's a very unique opportunity to learn from this 1,600-year-old lineage, and you're the 59th, was it? holder of that
Yeah.
lineage. Really very beautiful offering, and very important, I think. It kind of seems like it bridges some of our shamanic understandings with the Qigong and really gets us into a deeper level of embodiment. So we're very excited that Daisy has decided to offer this program. It's called 5 Animal Qigong with Daisy Lee, awakening joy, health, and vibrancy through rewilding movements inspired by animals. You can find it at the URL 5animalqigong.com. That's the number 5, animal qigong, Qigong.com. It's a 7-week program, and you don't have to have a background or practice of Qigong. She's really going to teach you foundational movements, practices, breath that are all based out of this system, and that does not require that you have any sort of skill set or practice in motion already. And the intent is really so you're over the course of the 7 weeks, you're building a practice for the rest of your life. So Daisy, I'd love for you to share a little bit about 5 Animal Qigong and what your goal is for people to come out away from this program with, and then I'll read out the module titles. You give us a preview what's coming in each.
Okay. Well, this program will give you a full overview and practice of the 5 animals. So we'll sequentially go from tiger to deer to bear to monkey to crane. And you're going to learn the corresponding breathing movements, the organ set that it supports by animal, and the characteristics that we embody. And this is in the first module, that's what they'll be learning, is the overview of how to do the hand movements and the stances. You'll first get the overview in module 1 with some practice, and then each of the modules.
Module 1 is called Learning from the Animals to Cultivate Increased Focus and Alertness.
Great. And so it is all of that. It's really about that cultivation of spirit within ourselves. We get so distracted these days, and so it's bringing us back to that union of the spirit with the body, the mind, and the heart. And so we need to increase our focus and our alertness as well.
Module 2 is called Embody the Energy of the Tiger to create courage, patience, work-life balance, and a clear vision for your life.
Yes, and that is also a reminder of the tiger qualities, because the liver organ supports eyesight. And so, you have the fun eye movements and paw movements that will bring us into a clear vision of what we want in a balanced way.
Module 3, take on the energy of the deer to diminish anxiety and bring renewed energy to the spine, kidneys, and adrenals.
Yes, and the deer is well known for its listening skills. It's very quiet and listens intently, and it helps us to diminish anxiety, because when we're in fear, our body is just gripped with this condensed energy. And so it's about freeing that fear and opening up those channels to the kidney.
Module 4, follow in the footsteps of the bear to conserve energy and resources to prepare for the future.
Yes, everyone knows that bears hibernate in the winter and conserves its energy. So it is about cultivation even in silence, and how to bring that steadiness into our own life as well.
Module 5 is called Become Curious and Playful as you laugh at life alongside the monkey.
Yes, your favorite animal, the monkey business. It's really about the intelligence of the monkey mind, rather than having it go in all different directions, how to hone and create discernment for the monkey, from the monkey, and to remember to laugh, amidst all the stresses that you might face in a day. Remember, there is joy and there is summer.
Module 6, fly above life's stresses and view life from a higher balanced perspective as you take on the energy of the crane.
Yes, and the crane has this as literally a bird's eye view. So it sees things from a very different perspective than other animals. and it has this elegance and grace. It moves in such a way that, you know, it can go far, and yet it maintains its composure at all times. Because it has dealt with its grief, it has opened up its lungs to receive its heart and lungs.
And finally, module 7, practice the full-length Hua Tuo 5-animal Qigong form. Borrow their Qi to heal yourself and support the more than human world.
That's the last module, and you will do the whole form from beginning to end, and you'll be able to take it home with you, because the movements are not difficult. You know, through our practice of the 7 weeks, you'll be able to, by the end, actually have the complete short form. So I think people will feel really good being able to take that home with them.
Beautiful. Well, it's truly going to be a blessing to do this course with you and really receive this ancient transmission. It's amazing to me. It's 1600 years of continuous transmission. So again, all of the details are at the page 5animalqigong.com. That's 5, the number, animalqigong.com. So in addition, you'll get 7 90-minute live classes with Daisy Lee, which is really vital to practice along with her, really take it in, ask your questions live, and then you'll have the recording. So you can keep going back and really being guided and practice day after day until you've inked and integrated this within your system and your daily practice. So you'll also get so I said you'll get recordings, video and audio. You'll also get word-for-word transcripts from every session. There's weekly exercises and practices for inquiry and learning. There's a Facebook community to support you and deepen your experiences. And on the page, you'll see a number of extra bonuses that are designed to enhance your journey in some interesting ways and important ways. So there's a video dialogue, first of all, with Daisy and Dr. Saida Desilets. It's called How Desire and Eros Are Essential to Living an Optimized, Vibrant, and Fulfilling Life. Can you share a little bit more about that, Daisy?
Yeah, that is a really interesting conversation that we had, Stephen. And because when it was filmed, she was in Africa, and she was in the wild with a group that had to watch out for the wild animals. These were not caged or tamed animals by any means, and so it is returning to our animal nature and rewilding our senses, essentially. So we had a really fun conversation about this aspect of our humanity in the wild.
There's also a second bonus that's on the page there, and it's called Qigong to Renew and Rejuvenate Whole Body Health. This is a separate video teaching from Daisy. You want to share more about that special bonus?
Yeah, the Qigong to Renew and Rejuvenate, that is the Zhang Fu Gong that I teach. And in that particular session, I had just had a wonderful experience with horses. And so I've always loved horses and seem to have this more than human connection with them. And so I share about that, but also the Zhang Fu Gong, one of the first lessons is, you know, how to come into presence with your practice. And we do a little bit of practice together as well.
Beautiful. And if that's not enough, there's actually a special bonus that we mentioned earlier that for anyone who signs up right away today until midnight. So that's called Animal Spirits in Qigong. And it's actually a dialogue between Daisy and Puma Freddy Quispe Singona, who's a totally awesome medicine carrier from the highlands of Peru and has some profound insights into working with animal spirits and connecting with animals. And so, Daisy, you want to share about that really rich dialogue?
Sure. You know, I just love Puma Freddy. He feels like a brother to me, even though he's from a very different cultural tradition. And that conversation just brought everything to life about how the cultures merge and the energies merge. He says that the animals are teachers. They are revered as our teachers. And it's so interesting for me because it is, in a sense, the opposite of what a lot of humans think, that they may think that animals are lesser because they don't have this big brain. And I beg to defer, and I agree with Puma Freddy that the animal world is the greatest teacher for many of us. And he calls them our brothers and sisters as well. So there's really wonderful stories that he shares about his experience with how he came by the name Puma Freddy.
Well, that's going to be a great extra bonus. He's one of my favorite human beings, and the two of you in dialogue is going to be awesome to have as a special bonus for folks who sign up right away. So again, you can find all the details at 5animalqigong.com. 5animal, that's number 5, animal qigong, QIGONG.com. We've kept the investment for this program very accessible. It's just 3 payments of $128, or you can save 10% when you pay in full with one payment of $349. The course is going to start on April 3rd and run on Wednesdays at 1 Pacific at 4 Eastern. But even if you can't make the live times, you can still get the full value with the recordings, the transcripts, and participating in the community. And really, it's about doing the practices. So if you need to catch up and watch the video and then participate in the online community, you can still get the full value, and you're going to have access to that whole library for many years or decades to come. So I also really encourage you to go to the page at 5animalqigong.com and read through some of the testimonials. I like to do this just as a practice to feel the impact of somebody's practices and teachings on someone's life. And there's just glowing testimonials. I loved every single minute of Daisy's excellent course. Little did I know this course would shift my life in such profound ways. Daisy's an amazing teacher. There's exceeded my expectations, everything and beyond my expectations. Daisy's very dedicated, and there's a subtle quality of just putting you in a deeper state of being that I find just interviewing her and being with her really creates a sense of alignment with your energy and the alignment of nature and the full cosmos. And so this is a unique opportunity to really take in the 5-animal Qigong lineage through her as a lineage carrier, and to really embody that in your life in fun and playful ways that really help open up energies and really bless you in some unique ways. So again, all the details are at 5animalqigong.com, and you get the special bonus with Daisy and Puma when you sign up by midnight tonight Pacific time. So Daisy, we're nearing the end of our time. Anything that is still on your heart you want to share, or a special invitation for folks to join you in 5-animal Qigong as a course?
Thank you, Stephen. I'm just really excited to share this program online for the first time. I've taught it in person before, and so it's a great opportunity to learn it in its wholeness together for over 7 weeks. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to have learned from my teacher in China, to receive this lineage, but also to thank the animals and the natural way that they teach us. I think we're going to be sharing a lot and learning a lot from them as we play this Qigong together. So I welcome you to join me, and thank you so much for the opportunity to share with you.
Well, thank you, Daisy. It's always just a delight to be with you. I always feel calmer and more open and relaxed just being around your presence. And it's a great testimonial to the importance of the practice of Qigong that you offer. So again, thank you all for joining us. And if you'd like to go further with Daisy to receive this blessing of 5-animal Qigong wisdom and practice transmission, you're welcome to do so at 5animalqigong.com, and you'll get the special bonus with Daisy and Puma when you sign up by midnight tonight. So thank you so much. Many blessings.
Thank you, Stephen.